Hey, legal besties, and welcome to Ladies in Law. I'm your host, Michaela Dixon, and today we have an incredible guest. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Mary Rebekah. I'm an attorney turned author with my debut novel, Checkered Love, coming out this July.
Oh my gosh, I literally wore my checkered shirt for you today.
Oh, yay! I have my checkered necklace. We matched.
That's amazing. I love that so much. I have so many questions I want to ask you because just being an attorney and then also being an author is like just two worlds that I don't always think about coexisting. And so I would love to just kind of pick your brain on how you kind of have gotten there. So would you tell us just a little bit about the kind of attorney you are, and then we can kind of segue from there?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a compliance attorney. I really focus on marketing compliance. Prior to my current job, I worked for a very large entity and I handled all of the marketing compliance for North America. So, making sure that we're not misleading consumers, making sure that we're not having possible copyright infringement claims, anything. But also, what was really great about that experience is I dealt with the actual production of the marketing side. So I worked with creatives the entire time. So the end-to-end timeline, including the talent agreements, but even sitting on set and looking at contracts and being like, ooh, we might be in breach of a licensing agreement. Let's reshoot. So it's a very different area of law.
Yeah, I'd say. Is that something that like you always knew you kind of wanted to do? Like did you always want to be an attorney?
No, kind of. I wanted to, when I was really young, I wanted to be a marine biologist and I wanted to be a dolphin trainer at SeaWorld. I am not kidding. That was my dream. I went to SeaWorld camp like every summer as a kid, but I didn't do too well in chemistry in high school, so I decided maybe not. So then I moved into the pre-law track and I did government work. My first job in college and out of college was the United States Senate. And I realized I really did want to be that advocate and help people. And I thought the best path to that was law school.
I love that. And then from there, kind of, have you always been in that sector of law? Did you kind of dip your toes in other areas, or were you like, this is for me?
No, I dipped my toes in other areas. I litigated at the beginning and I decided I did not like litigation. The fact that you are a trial attorney is like mesmerizing to me. I really enjoyed the proactive side of like setting up businesses so that there's a little possibility of lawsuits if you have everything in place. And so because I enjoyed that proactive side, I went in-house to do compliance work. And that's kind of where I fell into marketing compliance. And I loved it. I love everything about how you get to work with creatives, but you get to work with logistics. And then you also have to make sure that it's just so many different pieces in one.
Yeah, it sounds like kind of like I don't even know if this is accurate, but like detective work or just like puzzle piecing where you kind of just take these different things and you kind of just say like, okay, this is going to work. And then you get to kind of be creative in the way that you do that too.
Yeah, and it's so much thinking outside of the box. I mean, even like, for example, like obviously like copyright infringement issues, main thing might be tattoos. And so making sure that like if we have someone on talent who has a tattoo, making sure that we get a release from the tattoo artist is such an easy way to make sure that we can show that person in their authentic self. And most of the time the artist is very willing to give a release over because they're like, hey, my artwork's going to be shown on this commercial. It's great.
Yeah.
But just thinking outside the box in ways that you can be able to allow things to be as authentic as possible is like probably my favorite thing. And that's actually probably one of the things that really led me to be like, well, I do write in the background, like maybe I should also see if it becomes something as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I really want to talk about that because I think, like, for me, I have always been like, I just don't think I'm that creative. I love to like logic and I love to have like, okay, there's this answer. And I love being proactive instead of reactive. That is like always my goal and how I just litigate in general is like getting in front of things. But like I've never thought about like the creativity aspect because I think I kind of go to like art work and painting and different things where I'm like have two left hands, I feel like, and I'm not left-handed. But my husband, who is also an attorney, has always been like, no, like you are creative, like the way that you put arguments together, the way that you fit the puzzle pieces, and all of these things. And so when I met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It's like literally combining all of these things. So how did you kind of like do this shift? Is it something that you had always kind of had a goal? Were you inspired by the people around you?
I would say I was inspired by the people around me, but almost in a different way. Like when you are an attorney working with creatives, oftentimes you are like the biggest enemy. And I loved every creative I worked with, but it would be really hard if someone would look at you and be like, well, you just don't understand being creative. You're an attorney. And
Oof.
so, exactly. I was like, no, I promise I'm a nice person. I'm more than being an attorney, and I'm going to try and help. But I had always, like, at night, I would write just to, like, process and, like, create little stories. I've always created stories. In fact, my mom has recently been going through, like, all of, like, our old records and stuff, and she keeps finding all these little books that I wrote as a kid about, like my journey to the toy store, or, like,
It's so adorable.
she's like, wow, I should have realized this was like a real thing when you were younger. I'm like, oh, sorry.
That's
But
amazing.
I digress. But I really I got to the point where I was working with these creatives, and I knew I would go home after being an attorney all day, and I would write just to kind of like brain dump and relax my mind. And then I was like, why don't I see if I am actually a creative or not? And so I found a few different publishers that were accepting like open submissions. And in like full transparency, I think I have 5 completed manuscripts. So I picked this one like randomly. And I was like, we're going to try this one. And so I submitted it to several different publishers, and I was very lucky. I don't have an agent or anything like that. I negotiated all that myself. So I got very lucky. But yeah, it was kind of crazy. I literally did it on a whim. I was like, I think I'm just going to do it. And I didn't tell anyone I was going to do it either.
Oh
Like,
my
no
gosh.
one. So.
Wow. How did you have the confidence to do that? Because I think so often, like taking that step is the hardest part, you know?
I think I got to the point where I still don't have the confidence, because I don't think you're ever fully ready to take a step forward that it is something like that. I don't think I was ever fully ready to go to law school. I don't think I was ever fully ready to stand up in front of a judge for the first time. And I definitely wasn't fully ready to have this book published, and I'm still not. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, like, what about if I could have changed the ending a little bit differently? Um, but I didn't. I think it was, I didn't want to wake up and regret not having tried it. And so that's when I realized I got to that point of not wanting to have a regret. That's when I got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try it. And if I get rejected, I get rejected. Oh well. So, and I did
Yeah.
I got a ton of rejections, but I got a few, bites on it, and then I got very lucky. And I think that had I waited until I felt ready, I don't think I ever would have done it.
I resonate with that so much. I think sometimes that's like my hardest part with like doing research or doing writing emotion or just like writing in general is I'm like, oh, but could it be better? Or is there one more case that would be better than the one that I found? And knowing kind of when good enough is enough. And so being able to kind of take that leap without, you're right. I don't think that there really is like 100% ready for anything. And there's always going to be a little bit of fear, but it's kind of just like doing it afraid.
Yeah. And I think when you do it afraid, it makes it a little bit more meaningful, because you really took a shot on yourself in a way that maybe externally no one else realizes, but
Yeah.
internally you know that you believed in yourself enough that it wasn't perfect, but you were going to try regardless.
Yes. Yes. And how incredible. You're a parent as well, right?
Yes, yes, I have a daughter. She is turning 15 next month. So,
Like, what an incredible example for her as well to see that, that like perfection is really kind of just a myth. Like, good enough is enough. And so, just kind of believing in yourself enough to take that step is so powerful and such a good example because it's one thing for like a parent to say that to you, but another for them to kind of live that for themselves too.
yeah, thank you. I actually Alex has had a really interesting life with me, because she was younger when she went to law school with me. If I had like
Oh my
childcare
gosh.
issues, or my husband had to go out of the country. So she would go to law school with me. And so you would see this 6 year old who would bring her like RBG gavel from when she dressed up as RBG for
Stop.
Halloween. Yeah. And she would like sit in the classroom with me, like ready to judge our arguments. And all my professors loved her. And she's like a very smart child too. And so she learned so much in law school from just like sitting and listening. And so I've always thought that her experience in this world is so different because she gets to watch her parents do different things and try, and she's been
Yeah.
there witnessing it because we are really young parents still. So,
What like a front row seat to just like your journey.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope that she appreciates it. I do know that she has thought that she herself as a mini attorney multiple times. So, but I hope when she's older, she really realizes that it's been such an enriching experience for her to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just like that leading by example too is really just refreshing, that level of just transparency too. And I think like what was kind of like her childhood? Did you tell her stories and did you write stories and things? Like was storytelling kind of always interspersed within?
Yeah, so we are big book readers, and I didn't write her any stories, but I I do have like short stories that I've written over funny things she's done throughout her life. Um,
I think that's so
that
cool.
that she'll probably hate to read later in life, but they're so funny.
I
um,
love that.
but we definitely we've always been big readers, and I introduced her to audiobooks probably when she was a little bit too young, but she started reading Harry Potter at like age 6. Like she had the full like picture version.
Yeah.
And then she'd listen to it in the background as she was learning to read. And so like I mean, from the time she was little, she's always been reading. Like, she's read all the Percy Jackson books. Like, and then I go through too, and I realize what books that they no longer teach in schools. And I go
Mhm.
through and I make her listen to those books with me in the car when we have to drive places.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, they didn't make you read The Giver in middle school? I was like, okay, well, we'll listen to the entire series right now.
Yeah. Like they may not have made you, but I will.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
formative. Yeah.
Exactly. We not only have like book classes, I do like pop culture classes at home too, where I make her watch like movies.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that that's so cool that like there's such a balance between leaning into so many different areas. And that's something that like I really admired in talking to you is that like you are so much more than what your profession is. And I think that
Thank
that's
you.
something that like attorneys can get so lost in, is just like I am so much more than my profession. I love it. I love what I do. And also I love who I am outside of the law. I love just like pouring into different areas. Is that something that you have intentionally curated for yourself or is that kind of something that like developed over time?
I think it developed over time. I think it really actually started when I first became an attorney. We were first licensed, we're practicing, and everyone would just introduce me as this is an attorney. And I
Mm.
realized I was like, I don't really just want to be known as an attorney, like ever.
Yeah.
Like I want to be known as an individual who has likes and dislikes, and yes, being an attorney is my 9 to 5, if not many more hours than that. But it's
I get that.
yeah, it's not just me. And I think that I want to say maybe like 3 years into practicing, I almost decided that I was like, I'm done with this because I'm so tired of being just everyone's attorney. And so really took me standing up for myself and trying to like move those things around to try and figure out like how do I best share with others that I'm more than an attorney. So I definitely try
Mhm.
to do that now more than like in a more conscious level to make sure that we're all as attorneys, we're not feeling like we're just boxed in.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do think that like it's weird how not that it's isolated to like the practice of law in general, but it is so funny how it's like no, like I am multidimensional and I think that's also kind of what makes us better attorneys as well is leaning into more of like the human aspects. And like for you, working with creatives, it's like okay, I, I, I did not write the story that you wrote. I do understand that. And also, like I'm able to tap into this and also I'm bringing a different perspective. But also I have I'm a reader, I'm a writer, I am an attorney. I have these different hats I can put on, and I think that that makes you a better attorney for them, honestly.
No, thank you. I agree. I think too that when we bring our like outside perspectives into any sort of legal situation, I mean, the law is inherently very human. And I think that we oftentimes forget that. We're like, it's black and white, it's written down. It's like, it's very human. The only reason we have these laws is because some human acted in a way that made us create a law that we now need to enforce. So it is very human. And I think that we oftentimes just completely forget that, and we're like, it is a textbook, and I'm like, there's so much more than that.
Yes, and also like so much like the law is ever evolving and ever changing, and also its application can be different in so many different avenues. And
Yeah.
and I also like what you said about being like proactive instead of reactive, because it's like, why not just ask? You know, like I think sometimes we overcomplicate things and try and do these workarounds, and it's like, yeah, but at a human level, like if we just asked them, what's the worst that happens? We're in the same position, but we could save like weeks of trying to brainstorm something that might not really be necessary.
Exactly. And asking permission, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to say no. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and if they say no, then yes, then we have to brainstorm. But I mean, there's really little that you're going to lose by asking.
Yeah. And you said that you don't have an agent, right? For
No, no, I don't.
Oh my gosh. So what has that process been like for you? Was it a lot of trial and error? Like I can't even imagine trying to
Yeah.
figure that out on top of having a full-time job.
Yeah, it's been a lot of trial and error. I have to thank my ability for doing research to be able to figure out like what other type of like clauses should I make sure are in a publishing contract. Like, do I negotiate at the beginning like adaptation rights, like different things like that. So it has been a lot of trial and error, and it's kind of been crazy to realize that there authors out there who try and do this that don't have a legal background and don't understand the actual complexities of like those negotiations or their contracts or retaining the ability to negotiate any adaptation rights. Like there's a few different contracts I got in for this manuscript that wanted the publisher to be able to retain full ability to negotiate any sort of rights for like TV and movie adaptations.
What?
Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking like I feel bad for an author who doesn't know that they should
That
argue
means.
against that. Like this is their intellectual property. So I would have to say that for me, obviously it's been hard, but I'm very blessed because I am an attorney. I feel bad for any author who tries to do this without an agent or without some sort of guidance, because there are so many different things, and you don't want to ever cut someone out of their own deal either.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's definitely a learning curve, but it's kind of been a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot of different things about, because I knew entertainment law, but I didn't know
Mhm.
actually like what it took to get like a manuscript through an entire like publishing production. So
No. And now you are like what, a month away from it being like released into the world, right?
yeah, yeah, it's really crazy.
Amazing. So, kind of like start to finish, how has that process been for you? And like what are you feeling? What's to come? That's a very big question.
You're okay. Feeling lots of feelings.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot. Start to finish has been it's been a year, and I think it's a year and 3 months from like when the contract signed to when the release date will be.
Wow.
And so the only steps now that I really have to worry about are making sure that like the pre-publication reviews go well, and then obviously like the day it's launched, like everyone gets copies, all the bookstores that order them have them delivered, and then I have a few book signings after that scheduled. But besides that, I mean, I'm really like in this weird phase of like, well, it's done. It's gone through editing. You know, I've spent thousands of dollars on editors. It's there. It's ready. And now we just kind of wait and see. So it is a weird feeling now because it's like, I don't know, it's almost like when you like take the bar and then you have those like 6 weeks
Oh,
of waiting in between where like now I can only do so much now, and I have to kind of hope for the best and say that
yeah.
I put in a lot of effort for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, manages their own socials, like all of that. Like I'm doing my best, and now I just have to hope it's well received.
Yeah. No, I think there's so much like patience that comes in that period of just limbo where there's only so much you can do, and then you have to believe that you really did do enough. And I think that that's hard because it's so much easier to be like, did I? And question. And so it takes a lot of just like mental fortitude also to just sit in it and be like, no, it is good, and at the end this will, but it's hard. It's just hard in that season of just like, because I don't know. I mean, my mind just can go 1,000 miles an hour for forever
Yep.
during those periods.
Yeah, and I think too, like in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and be like, what about if I had taken time off work to really make sure that this was launched correctly? Or what about if I didn't switch jobs a few months ago? Like, what about all of this? And then I can't keep playing the what if game with myself forever, though. Like, I had to do what I had to do, and I made
Yeah.
the best decisions at the time. So now I just have to trust that I did what I could and it will pay off. Um,
Yeah.
but don't get me wrong, I'm gonna wake my husband up at like 2 a.m. like in a few nights and be like, what about if I just need to like pull my book off the shelf now? So,
I so get that. And I think that like I fall victim to the what if game like all the time. But like there quite literally is always a what if in any decision that we ever make in life. There is always an alternate path that could have been taken. And all we can do is make the most informed decision that we can at that time. And I think that, like, especially with something that has been kind of just yours for so long, and then the vulnerability in sharing that with others and then sharing that with the world, like, there is a lot of vulnerability in that. And I think that, like, that's incredible, though, that you're doing it.
thank you. It's actually this is like the weirdest part about having worked with creatives for a while, too, is that when my book, like, when I had to hand over my final manuscript copy, fully edited, no more changes, this is what it's going to be. Um, One of the people I worked with on the production team, in the marketing team I worked for, he basically was like, you have to give it over and like stop worrying about it because eventually you're not gonna ever let go of it. And he's like, it's your child, you birthed it, welcome it to the world. And I was like, oh. I was like, do you feel this when you make commercials all the time? He's like, every time. But like, you just have to get over that. I was like, okay.
Okay, but like how?
Yeah. I need details.
What
Step
do
by
you
step.
do? Yeah, no, literally. What do you do when like you have these like time that you need to kind of just like take for you or kind of just get out of your head or just kind of like decompress? What does that look like for you?
Well, it used to be writing, but now I feel like this weird pressure of like writing something that now is going to be published. So I haven't been the best about writing right now. But I live in Orlando, Florida, so we go to the theme parks a lot.
On.
So yeah, so like after a tough day at work, like even if it's just like 2 hours, like we'll see a show. We managed to get, almost 10,000 steps in from the few hours at a park. So like getting our steps in.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a dopamine pickup. We see fireworks. So that's really what I've been trying to do during the week within these past few weeks, just because that's like I need to get out of my head and I need to not over stress about everything. So I'll pack my family up and we'll head over to Disney for the day. So
Yeah, it's hard not to be present when you're at like a theme park, where you're just surrounded by
exactly.
so much joy.
Yeah, exactly. And so the day my book comes out, I was very thankful I get to take the day off work. And I wasn't going to
Good.
do a launch party or anything. Like, I'm just going to Magic Kingdom and
I
visiting
love that
princesses
so
all
much.
day.
That's amazing. What a release. Truly. Like you get to
Yeah.
just like be.
Yeah. Because I know myself well enough to know even if I took off work, I was going to sit there and watch reviews come in. And
Hmm.
I realized that probably wasn't healthy either.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you like wait for like a judge to rule on something and you're
Oh.
just like refreshing the page to see if like it's published. Yeah.
Yep.
So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be hyper obsessed about something at work and I didn't want to be hyper obsessed about the book. So I was like, we're just going to take the day off. We're going to, spend time together as a family. And really just, I mean, it's an accomplishment that I'm trying to force myself to celebrate too. So
Yeah. Good. You deserve to. I mean, you've
thank you.
put so much just like emotional energy, time, everything into it. And I think that like you deserve to celebrate that, because I think that there is definitely going to be nerves around it, like, you know. And also, you did the damn thing that so many people in the world cannot say, and that's kick
Yeah.
ass.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
keep trying to remind myself. I'm like, like I don't know about you, but like Legally Blonde definitely was one of the things that made me be like, I want to be an attorney. And it's like, if Elle Wood saw me, would she be proud? Yes, she would. So like, I
What,
just
like
give
it's
her,
hard? Like,
yeah. So
that's amazing. I love that. I think she would. And I
thank
also,
you.
something that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm asking all the guests this season. Kind of just like as a wrap up before we tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah.
Is if you could give younger you one piece of advice, what would that be?
Ooh. I think it would be that she needs to remain true to herself and to be authentic and unapologetic. Because personally, I lost myself a little bit in law, just trying to be the attorney I thought I needed to be. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I decided, or probably not even more than 2 years ago, that I decided I don't need to be anyone else's definition of an attorney, and that's when I can be myself. And I would remind my younger self that, because I think that would make her the most proud.
Oh, I love that so much. I think that that's like so freeing
Yeah.
too, is when you get to decide to just live life for you, and the way
Yeah.
that like you like is authentic to you. And I think that that's something so easy to lose in this profession too, is like wanting to emulate what you see around you,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but when you really lean into just like you, I think there's so much power in that. And I can only imagine how proud like little you would be of the you sitting here today.
Oh, I think she wouldn't even know who she's looking at. I think she'd be absolutely be like, wow, this is someone who's either super unhinged and decided she was going to try to do everything she wants to do in life, or it's someone who is like, wow, I can't believe she did everything she wanted to do in life. I don't know which one little me would actually think of.
Maybe a healthy combo of
Let's hope so.
both. I know. Oh my gosh, I have really enjoyed our conversation, and I cannot wait to make my way through your book, because I am just like, I adore you and everything that you stand for and what you're doing. And where can our guests find you?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram. The handle is Mary Rebekah Writes, and so you can find me and follow me and my author journey there. And I had the links to pre-order books, and I created some playlists for my characters that I thought might be fun for some readers.
So
So yeah,
cool.
all of that is on my Instagram. So it's Mary Rebekah Writes. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, amazing. And then your book comes out when?
July 30th.
My God, and that can be found in any bookstore
Any
online.
bookstore. It can also be ordered on Amazon. It can be pre-ordered through the publisher's website directly, but also it can be pre-ordered on Amazon, Books a Million. I've been searching every day to see how many platforms pick it up. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh
So
my gosh, that's so amazing. I
yeah.
really seriously just cannot wait. And I cannot thank you
Thank you.
enough, seriously, for being here today.
No, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for having me. It was such a blessing. So thank you.
Of course, always. And thank you all for listening. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.